I'm Lisa Bagshaw, and you are watching Bold Leaps, the show that interviews creative, successful, inspiring people about the risks they've taken to pursue their dreams. And today's guest is award-winning Hall of Famer, broadcaster, artist, and actor, the iconic Bro Jake. Growing up in Moncton, New Brunswick, Bro always seemed to have an ear attached to his transistor radio. He also loved drawing and ballroom dancing, but it was broadcasting that enthralled him the most. So much so that despite his father's wishes for him to follow in his footsteps and join him at the CNR, at 18, Bro took the leap and left Moncton by himself to pursue his dream of becoming a broadcaster. Not only did he want to be a broadcaster, but he sets his sights on being the best in the business. But looking back on his much celebrated decades-long career, the road was not without its obstacles and rejection. What I wanted to know was when you have a dream, a vision, the passion, but you keep getting rejected, what keeps you going? Welcome to the show, Bro.
I'm so excited. This is unbelievable.
Thank you for being here.
Well, you know, I ballroom danced right onto the set. You might have noticed the foxtrot as I came in here.
I did. You have beautiful style. What a story.
Yep.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
So you've taken so many incredible leaps throughout your life, but for the purposes of this show, the leap that I want to focus on is when you were 18 and you left Moncton by yourself to pursue your dream of becoming a broadcaster. Can you tell us a little bit about your life leading up to that moment?
Well, I think, you know, you hit it on the head when my pops got me a transistor radio. My sister and I both had two little transistor radios. They were red with leather cases on them. And I had that in my ear all night, went to sleep with it in my ear. My dad would get up to go to the CNR, where he wanted me to become an overhead crane driver. Hey, if you don't snap it up, I will. I don't think so, Dad. Don't want it. The bold leap would be jumping off the overhead crane. That would have been the boldest of leaps. But, you know, it led up to, I was just fascinated by people on the radio. I wanted to be there. I wanted to tell the story. I want to play the rock tunes. I wanted to be the boss jock. So once I had been accepted to Leyland Powers, it's an acting school, radio journalism, that was the boldest of leaps. I mean, I was not petrified, but anxious. And I remember the song that was in my little MG midget car. It's called a MG Midget, 1964. Good morning, America, how are you? I'm driving the car, you know, across the border, hair down to my butt, guitar, you know, hanging out the side of the car. I didn't think they were going to let me across the border, but the border was a lot different back then. But once I got there and started seeing the signs to Boston, Massachusetts, especially coming from Moncton, New Brunswick, and at that time there was maybe 70,000 people in Moncton, small town, never been on an airplane. Never, you know, hadn't done any of those things. Just basically, it's time to get jiggy with it. So that's what I did. I headed down there, and everything. My eyes were like so open to everything. My first call from a payphone was to my mom. I made it. I'm here. What's it like, honey? It's unbelievable. Where's the McDonald's? So basically, you know, and then had to go into this boarding house, and there was a bunch of other students there. It was just exciting. You know, I knew something was about to happen. And when I was in the school, I think people try to push you down too when you're trying to learn something. You usually have a professional guy that comes in, he's a radio guy, and the first question out of his mouth, I'll never forget it, was, how many people here think they're going to make it in this business? Of course, everybody's got their hand up. Well, we all think. He said, not one of you will make it. Not one. Now, I don't know if that's tough love on his part after he was just fired because they had automation put in the Boston station. He had no gig. So he was angry. He was mean. And it just kind of pushed me to do better and to make sure that I was going to make this happen.
I definitely want to come back to that point, but I want to just circle back, if I may, to leading up to that moment, because I think it's important. A lot of people don't actually take that leap, because at that time in Moncton, 70,000 people, a lot of people didn't leave Moncton.
No.
But did you just have a strong conviction?
Yeah. I knew what I wanted to do. I said it to myself. I said it to everybody. They were sick and tired of hearing me say it. And I convinced another fellow, Bruce Hay, whose father owned the House of Hay chicken franchises. The guy had more money than God. And he said, yeah, I'll go with you. I went, oh, awesome. I'm not going alone. And the minute I drove up to the door, he said, I'm not going. I can't do it. I'm jamming out. So that moment for him didn't happen. And I just went, all right, I'll see you later. And I drove down the road. But leading up to until I put the key in the ignition of the car and aimed it for Massachusetts from New Brunswick, it got real in a hurry.
Yeah, so, and that's what I find quite interesting, is the leading up to part, and just in terms of knowing so strongly that this is what you wanted to do, and you really believed in yourself.
Of course.
Well, where did that come from, that belief in yourself?
Well, it came from my mother. My mother always said, you can do it. You can do it. You can do anything you want. She always said that. She was French too. She made basically, you can do that. I talked to the manager and he says, you're going to do very well. I have a calendar you can take to Massachusetts so you'll remember my birthday. No, she was just a clown. She was so funny. She was the hit of the party, and I just followed suit. I just admired her so much. And she was my big belief. So I never doubted myself through her. And when, as you approach that, you're going, you're saying goodbye to everybody. Once it's done, it's done. Once you like I say, put the car in drive and start driving down the road, it's done. There was no thought after that, am I going to make it? I knew I was. That's what I felt. So
you're in the MG, your hair is blowing in the wind, and you feel
frickin' elated and happy and excited. And yeah, you're a little scared. Of course, if you weren't a little bit afraid, then there's something not normal with you. But excitement was insane. Don't forget, I'm moving out of my parents' place into my own place in Boston, Massachusetts, where we met lots of rock bands, and, the story started right there.
But there was also fear and some self-doubt a little bit?
No.
Uncertainty?
Never had any self-doubt.
No.
No.
Always,
I didn't. Always positive. I drove people crazy in the car, just being an announcer in the car. Would you please shut up? And I went, no, I'm going to do this. Oh, sure you are. No, I'm going to do it. This is what I felt I was going to do. And I drove people crazy around me. I wasn't looking at the rear view mirror. Objects appear smaller or bigger or larger as you look through them. It always looked like this was my destiny.
Your destiny. I just absolutely love that. And I love the conviction that you had and the knowing. We have to take a break. But when we come back, I'm going to talk to Bro about what happened right out of broadcast school and how he dealt with inevitable rejection. Welcome back. Okay, Bro. So now you've finished broadcast school and acting school, and now you have to find a job as a broadcaster, and you have these huge dreams. So how did you feel the next day after you graduated from broadcast school and you had to go find a job?
Let's take on the world. Let's see what's out there. And of course, back then you sent these air checks. Those are cassettes, right? They're called air checks. You send them out to stations. I sent them everywhere. At this time, we're not hiring. We don't know if you're ready yet. Those kinds of things. And I went, okay, well, I'm going to get in a van. A buddy of mine had a van. He had the Union Jack painted on it, and we headed down the highway. So we stopped at all these little one-horse towns till I was in northern New Brunswick and went into a place called Bathurst, New Brunswick. And I went up to this guy, Neil McMullen, and said, I need a gig. I'm going to be good at this. And I talked to him for about maybe an hour, and I convinced him to give me a shot. This is my big shot. So I was supposed to, so I came back. I was starting on the Friday, arrived on a Tuesday. There were 5 other radio personalities living in this house. These are guys that are 19, 20, 21, crazy people. So I said, all right, so what are we doing tonight? I'm going on Friday. Well, it's only Tuesday. Let's have a drink. So we partied up a little bit, and it was 8 o'clock when I got the call on Tuesday night. Said, you're coming in, you're on the air. Our guy just got sick. He's throwing up everywhere. We need you right now. And I went, what? So seriously, I went in. I was as white as a ghost. I thought, this is it. I don't know if I can make it. So, the song is ending. It was all queued up. Song's ending. I hit the mic switch. Played another song. It took me 3 songs to get going. I was pretty scared. And then once I got the first intro done, I loosened up, and that is when I really started to feel comfortable. But the first couple of breaks were like horrible. I mean horrible.
Yeah, but just leading up to before you got that job, one of the things I find so fascinating about you is you actually encountered a lot of rejection. And there's a story about how you dealt with that rejection where didn't you challenge people to reject you to your face? Oh
yeah, well, my favorite, first of all, I had more fun when I was being fired. That was my favorite, because I would sit down and would go, this guy's got to fire me right now. I said something on the air, I did something on the air. And I always said, you know what, Bob? I really enjoy a good firing. And then they would just crumble. But being rejected and being told that I wasn't going to make it, or those kinds of things, not only from management, but from people that are around you. Isn't it interesting? People that are doing the same thing you're doing are oftentimes the people that are going to make you feel like crap, because they're worried. They know somebody else is in the building, and they know that if that person gets sick and Jake's going to come in and fill in, those were my opportune times to go prove to these people that I could do it. But just the negative stuff that came from people that worked around the business at that time, because everybody wanted to go to the top, but not everybody was going. And people got pissed off. They were pissed off the minute you did better. And my motto was, I'm going to spend 1 year at this radio station. I would tell everybody that I went into the station, I'm going to work 1 year and then I'm leaving. Well, no, you're going to love it here. No, I'm leaving in a year. And I would look, at the calendar. It's coming up this month. I'm taking off. So I started to apply to these radio stations, and I would just go to one station, to the next one, to the next one, and encountered a lot of different crazy people that were in the business, and it was the same story over and over again. People in your business don't want you to succeed. They want you to fail because it makes them feel better for some reason. But that just inspired me to make sure that I gave them a good ass kicking.
And so it inspired you to give them an ass kicking. But how did you because you had this dream of being the best broadcaster. How did you deal with that sort of rejection? What was your
Well, you have to pick it yourself up, right? You hit a wall. I've told my kids many times, trying to bring up kids that are he works for Disney. My daughter, and you know her very well, they keep hitting walls as I did. Mm-hmm. And you hit the wall. You got to crawl over that wall and go on to the next wall. There's going to be a wall after a wall after a wall. So that's what I realized. Once you hit the first wall and you get over that one, it inspires you to go to the next wall and jump over the wall and keep going. You got to walk through the fire. You got to do it.
And the walls are the obstacles to your success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you get into a groove, and it's like, if you know that you're doing well and you're starting to succeed, the motto is that means you have to work harder. That's the one thing I can tell anybody out there. If you want to succeed at anything and you get that first, victory, or you feel really good, the ratings are in, things are going well, then you have to kick yourself in the butt and go, time to get busy now. And that helped me out a lot.
So keep pushing even when you are successful.
Yeah, well, that's when you start. That's when everything's coming so easy now. You know that you have a talent to do whatever that is, and it sounds good, you feel good, now's the time to get going. So I always push myself really hard. The minute I had success, that's when I really, started writing more, doing my comedy and doing, my style of radio.
And would that be because you have momentum going that?
Yeah, you've got momentum going. But people will just rest on their laurels, right? They just, I've made it now. You get lazy. People do get lazy. They just don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
To that, because they've made it. You get your first good paycheck and you go, well, hey, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of people don't keep the foot on the accelerator.
That is excellent advice. During this whole time of sort of finding your footing in the broadcast industry, when did you know you would be okay?
When did I know I'd be okay? When the offers started coming in from all over the place. I had a guy go through when I was on the station in Moncton. He drove through, and he was one of these guys back in the day. He would just drive up and down the coast, go into the States, go anywhere. And, he called me up. He said, either you don't know how good you are, or you're a burnt-out jock from Chicago. And I went, well, I've never been to Chicago. So, that was kind of a compliment to me. So I understood that I had a lot of work to do, that if he thought I was a major market personality wasting away in Moncton, New Brunswick, and I was burnt out some way. So it gave me a vision of where I wanted to be. I had a guy come in from Miami, and I was working in Moncton again. He said he had a bottle of champagne, went up to the nightclub. He said, I'm going to hire you. I want you to come to Miami and be on a top 10 radio station in Miami. And I went, holy God. And I thought, am I ready for this? And I wasn't. I wasn't ready for that. It was too big a jump. Like there's some things that you can take too much of, and all of a sudden you feel like a real failure. If you were hired to go down to Miami to do a show, and the ratings came in and they were piss poor, you would go, well, I failed. I'm no good at this. So I tried to go in stages. I didn't jump right in. I could have went to New York. Could have been in New York. Could have been in LA. Could have been in Hawaii. But I just kind of paced myself. I didn't want too big a step. I just wanted to keep going up.
And you did keep going up. We have to take another break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask Bro his thoughts on if it's ever too late to pursue your dreams when we come back. Welcome back. One of the biggest leaps you ever took was when your time at CFMI ended and you became the morning show co-host of sports radio. Is it ever too late to pursue your dreams?
Well, you have to believe that you can do it. And being an armchair quarterback type guy, I thought this would be something I haven't tried. And believe me, my son came home and said, do not go on the internet right now after the first show. Stay away from the internet. What do you mean, son? So he's a rock jock. He's never going to pull this off. So we did pull it off, and ratings went right through the roof, right out of the box. And I learned a lot. I was still learning more than I've had over the prior 17 years in rock radio at Rock 101. So it was a learning thing for me. I had to watch a lot of games, which allowed me to watch a lot of sports on the weekend. Yeah, honey, I'm just going to be in the master room over here watching a little TV. Going to watch some sports. So I had an excuse. Well, aren't you coming out to spend Sunday afternoon with me? No, the Masters is on. I have to know what's going on. Hockey's on. And I'm a sports freak. So That was a big jump for me. That was, now that you mention that, that was huge. That was a huge thing for me.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from that leap?
Drink more if you get a chance. Once you've done that, it's easy. No, the biggest lesson, I know you're trying to be serious here. The
Well, your
biggest
story
lesson,
is so inspiring.
well,
So,
it's to have people that are backing you up and providing you the material to go forward. I had a lot of people helping me, and I learned a lot. And I remember Donnie said to me, never ask a question you know the answer to. And I went, well, that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So I have to know what I'm talking about, and if I know the person I'm interviewing, if you just don't ask the question, you already know the answer to that. Find out what it is that's going to make you a great interviewer. Find out what that person is hiding. Go ahead, ask me what I'm
what are
hiding.
you
right now.
hiding? I was just about, what are you hiding, bro Jake?
My insecurity. Yeah, so it was a big leap for me. That was now that you bring that up right now, how dare you ask me that question? No, that's true. That was a big leap for me. And I learned a lot, and I got through it 5 years, and then I retired and went into the Hall of Fame, and I thought, this is it. I've gone to the Canadian Broadcast Hall of Fame. I don't need to do any more, but it turns out I'm even doing more than I have ever done by recording commercials in my studio now. I'm just busy as hell. It's never too late to get going. It isn't. You have to have a goal. You have to have a plan, a roadmap, and once you get to that point where you think you're doing really great, start working harder.
Well, that is a perfect place to end this interview, and I'm very disappointed that it does have to end. Thank you so much for being here and
My
sharing
pleasure.
your leaps. You truly are legendary broadcaster, radio personality. You've won so many awards, and thank you for making us all laugh and entertaining us for all these decades.
You should interview yourself having the biggest bold leap of anybody here.
Well, thank you. Maybe
I'm Lisa I was going to go with the double L.
That's it for another episode of Bold Leaps. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out on YouTube and social media for more inspiring episodes and updates. Tell us your bold leaps in the comments. Special thanks to our sponsors. And remember, every step you take is a step toward your dreams.